Hello students, welcome to Allforce e-learning channel. This is K. Nageshwar Rao, physics faculty, and I am dealing with session number 81. Today I am dealing with session number 81. Today we will try to recollect all the concepts of electrical capacitance. Till yesterday everything was discussed. Okay, we will try to recollect and later we will try to solve few problems. Okay. So what are important points of electrical capacitance chapter? We will start with the fundamental equation Q is equal to CV. This is how students are familiar with the equation Q equal to CV, or it can be written as like this: C is equal to Q by V. Like this it can be written. This equation is very important. Whatever formulae, whatever key points further we will be developing, whatever conceptual part we will be developing in electrical capacitance, everything evolves from this equation only. This is a kind of seed for this entire chapter. Okay, and this has a lot of significance here. Wherever when you deal with the spherical capacitor or cylindrical capacitor or parallel plate capacitor, or when you deal with the energy of energy stored in a capacitor, all those things, this equation plays a very important role. When you take series combination, when you take parallel combination, everywhere you see this equation. Okay, and look at this equation. It is what? Ratio between charge and the potential across the capacitor plates, isn't it? If you take a graph between Q and V, Q on the y-axis and V on the x-axis, slope of that graph gives us what? Obviously capacitance, because slope of that graph will be Q by V, and here what is Q by V? It's capacitance. So remember children, when you draw a graph between Q and V, Q versus V, slope of that graph gives us capacitance, and if you calculate the area, it gives us energy stored in the capacitor. These are two important key points connected with this equation. And the next one is parallel plate capacitor. Parallel plate capacitor, see, whenever we think about parallel plate capacitor, immediately we should recollect this formula: C is equal to what? Epsilon naught A by D. This is what equation we develop for capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor, isn't it? Or since if you consider a parallel plate without any medium in between the plates, like air filled parallel plate capacitor, you can express that as C naught is equal to epsilon naught A by D, where A is area of the plate and D is separation between the plates. What if you fill the entire medium between the plates with a dielectric medium of dielectric constant K? Then the equation becomes this one: what? C is equal to K epsilon naught A by D. When compared to the previous equation, how this equation, third equation, can be modified? It can be written as Kc naught. It means when you introduce a dielectric medium, a dielectric slab, that completely occupies the space between the parallel plate capacitor, then capacitance becomes K times. Earlier it was C naught, now it is Kc naught. It is Kc naught. And the other equation is this one. What if you introduce a dielectric medium, dielectric slab of thickness T, that thickness T is less than the distance of separation between the plates, then what is the equation? This is the equation. What is that? C is equal to epsilon naught A by D minus T of 1 minus 1 by K, or it can also be simplified as epsilon naught A by D minus T plus T by K, isn't it? This is the equation. You can see the picture. Okay, this is how you can imagine a dielectric slab between the plates. Like this you can imagine. Its thickness is T and separation is D. And next, we'll talk about spherical capacitor. Spherical capacitor, its capacitance is, look at this, C is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught AB by B minus A, where A is inner radius of the spherical shell, and actually you take two concentric spherical shells. Remember children, whenever we construct a capacitor, we go with a pair of surfaces, whether it is parallel plate capacitor or spherical capacitor or cylindrical capacitor, we go with a pair. I hope all of you know the reason. When you go with the pair, you can go with the maximum charge storage on the capacitor. Okay, so that's what capacitor's principle was, isn't it? So if a pair is taken, what is the advantage? We can store more charge. Okay, so this is what capacitance of a spherical capacitor, where A is inner sphere's radius, B is outer sphere's radius. Okay, and this particular equation, whatever equation you are seeing here, this equation is applicable only when inner sphere is charged and outer sphere is earthened. If it is grounded, outer sphere is grounded. In that case, we use this equation. What if inner sphere is grounded? Then equation gets modified like this: C is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught B square by B minus A. Remember children, for earth, if we calculate capacitance, it comes out to be as something around 711 microfarads. 711 microfarads. Micro 10 power minus 6 its order, isn't it? So it's a very, very small value. I'm talking about capacitance of earth. In case of capacitance of earth, it's like a spherical capacitor. But if I call earth as a spherical capacitor, just now I said, whenever we deal with capacitor, we see two surfaces. So one surface is earth. Where is the other surface? Yes, there is other surface. We imagine that other surface's radius as infinite. It is infinite. So when you go with that kind of approach, the spheres or single spheres capacitance can be expressed as 4 pi epsilon naught r, where r is the radius of the sphere. Like that, radius of the earth is known to us, 6,400 kilometers, and 4 pi epsilon naught value is also known to us. We can substitute, and if we calculate, capacitance comes out to be as 711 microfarads. Very small value, isn't it? So remember this point, children. Even when you look at the questions, numerical questions, everywhere the capacitance of capacitors, whatever capacitors were used in circuits, 2 microfarad or 3 microfarad, always it will be expressed in terms of microfarads, because that's the order of possible capacitance. Okay, so whatever huge sphere known to us, what is the largest sphere that is familiar to us? Earth is the largest sphere that is familiar to us. We are in touch with that. We are growing on that, isn't it? So that is the known largest spherical body, and its capacitance is how much? 711 microfarads. Very small value. Okay, so I'm telling this data, just you can whenever you think about order of the capacitance, how much capacitance is possible, it gives you an idea. Okay, how much capacitance is possible for large surface like Earth. How much is the capacitance? 711 microfarads. And see, this is how the spherical capacitor appears. The first one is what? When outer surface is grounded, and the second one is when inner surface is grounded. Okay, and now let us talk about cylindrical capacitor. Cylindrical capacitor's capacitance is this one. What is that? C is equal to 2 pi epsilon naught L by log to the base E B by A, where B is outer radius and A is inner radius. Here cylindrical capacitor, look at this diagram. It is also made up of two surfaces, two concentric cylindrical shells, two concentric cylindrical shells. The inner radius is A, outer radius is B. And whatever L is given in this equation, that L is length of the cylinder, length of the cylinder. Okay, now let us proceed. We also talk about in this chapter force between the capacitor plates. Listen to me, children. There were questions earlier asked in NEET examination based on all these points. Whatever points I'm quoting right now, these equations are very important. I'm going to discuss with you few questions based on these equations as well. Okay, so what is the force between two capacitor plates? It is expressed as, look at this, F is equal to 1 by 2 epsilon naught E square A. Okay, where E is electric field intensity between the plates, A is plate area. Okay, so that's how we express. Okay, this is what force of attraction between the plates. Now, let us think about series combination and parallel combination. If you go with the series combination, what is the effective capacitance? It is expressed as 1 by Cs is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3 if you take 3 capacitors in series. Okay, if you take n number of capacitor, accordingly you can write the equation. Okay, and if you go with the parallel combination of the capacitor, this is what equation appears. Okay, so Cp is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3. If you take n capacitors and if they are identical, then Cp is equal to Nc if all are having same capacitance C. Okay, if n capacitors are there, C plus C plus C plus and so on, n times. So Nc will appear. That is the effective capacitance. And next, whenever you introduce a dielectric slab between the plates, what happens? There will be an electric field inside the dielectric slab. Already between the plates, outside a electric field exists, and inside another electric field exists inside the dielectric because of induced charges on both the surfaces of the dielectric. We know about that. That's what we call it as electric polarization, isn't it? Charge separation occurs. So in such cases, whatever charge is induced inside the dielectric medium, it can be expressed like this. Q dash is equal to minus Q into 1 minus 1 by K, where K is a dielectric constant of the medium and Q dash is induced charge inside the dielectric slab and Q is charge on the plates. And as you see the equation, this induced charge is less than what charge present on the capacitor plates. And the next equation is this one. See, inside, just now I told, when dielectric slab is placed between the plates of the capacitor, inside there will be electric field. That's that's what we can call it as induced electric field, and that induced electric field's equation is this one. E induced is equal to E naught minus E naught by k, or it can be written as E naught of 1 minus 1 by k. This is what electric field due to induced charges on the dielectric. And next, the very important equation, energy stored in a capacitor. See, this is how it can be expressed. Energy stored in a capacitor, U is equal to half CV square, or it can also be written as half QV. It can also be written as Q square by 2C. All these kind of transformations can be made possible by using the first fundamental equation, Q is equal to CV. Okay. And next, energy density. Energy density in the sense energy per unit volume. Just whatever energy equation we have talked about earlier, divide that with volume. Volume is what here? If a plate area is A, separation between the plates is D, AD is the volume. So just divide with the volume. This is the equation. U by V is equal to what? Sigma square by epsilon naught, which is equal to half epsilon naught E square. So this is what energy density is. And next one, this is also very important. Common potential. Common potential in the sense here what we are going to do, two capacitors will be taken and those two capacitors will be connected. Positive plate to positive plate, negative plate to negative plate, or positive plate to negative plate and the negative plate to positive plate. In two different ways, this connection can be made between the capacitors. When this, this kind of connection is made between a pair of capacitors, what happens? There will be charge distribution, and charge distribution continues as long as there is a potential difference. Isn't it? This is a very fundamental fact, isn't it? Charge flows from high potential to low potential. So there should be potential difference for driving the charge. And it continues as long as there exists a potential difference. If there is any potential difference, there won't be any charge transfer. So here also, when you join two capacitors together, what happens? The charge flow will be there from one capacitor to the other capacitor, or from high potential to low potential, and it continues as long as there is a potential difference. Finally, they reach a common potential. They reach same potential. So that's what we call it as common potential, and this is the expression for common potential. What is that? V is equal to C1 V1 plus C2 V2 by C1 plus C2. Okay. So when charge flow is there from one capacitor to another capacitor, there will be some energy dissipation. Yes, there will be energy dissipation. Initially, one capacitor is having some energy, the other capacitor, if it is also charged, okay, it too will have some energy. So when you add these two energies, you will have initial energy possessed by both the capacitors. After the charge being exchanged between these two capacitors, okay, after they reach common potential, these two capacitors together possess some other energy, final energy. So there will be some difference between these two energies. Whatever difference amount of energy is there, that dissipates in the form of heat energy. And expression for that dissipated energy is, in this case, delta U is equal to half C1 C2 by C1 plus C2 into V1 minus V2 whole square. Okay. What if capacitors are connected, like positive plate is connected to negative plate of another capacitor, and the negative plate of the first capacitor is connected to positive plate of the second capacitor? If that is the situation, then the common potentials expression can be written as C1 like this. V is equal to C1 V1 minus C2 V2 by C1 plus C2. If C1 V1 is less than C2 V2, you can write it as C2 V2 minus C1 V1 by C1 plus C2. And in this case, energy dissipation or change in energy is equal to this equation. Delta U is equal to half C1 C2 by C1 plus C2 into V1 plus V2 whole square. So these are fundamental equations in electrical capacitance. Let us try to solve few problems based on this one. Okay, children? Okay, students, now let us discuss about this problem. Let me read this. A capacitor of 2 microfarads is charged as shown in the figure. When the switch S is turned to position 2, the percentage of its stored energy dissipated is. So what was said in the question when circuit diagram is given here? Obviously, two capacitors can be seen clearly, right? One is of 2 microfarads capacitance, the other one is of 8 microfarads capacitance, and here a two-way key is there, okay? And a battery is connected, and how much potential it is supplying? V, okay? So initially, as you see in the figure, there is a contact between this point and this point. It means this capacitor was included into the circuit, and this is not there in the circuit because this is open, right? This is not a part of the circuit. There won't be any flow of charge into this capacitor. So when it gets fully charged, this 2 microfarad capacitor, Then what he is saying? The switch S is turned to position 2. The percentage of its stored energy dissipated is. Now what was done after it got fully charged? This key is turned from 1 to 2. So it is connected like this. Okay. So like this a contact is made. Then what happens if there is a contact between these two? Let me erase this. So we'll assume that this capacitor 2 microfarad capacitor has got charged completely, and I have changed the key, or this switch is turned from 1 to 2 like this. Okay. Now battery is not there in the circuit. It is not a part of the circuit. It was disconnected from the circuit. Now these two things will form a circuit, and now this this capacitor which is fully charged, it undergoes discharge. Okay. This capacitor, it was not charged. Its capacitance is given. It was not said that it is already charged and it is having some charge. Something like that it was not said. Okay. So this is not charged at all, and this is completely charged, and this charged capacitor is brought in contact with this one. This is something that resembles with the common potential concept, isn't it? Where dissipation of energy can be discussed. This is the data connected with this common potential. So whenever you recollect common potential, these formulae, these important equations, you should be able to access immediately. Of course all of you can derive, but it's not suggestible better during the examination. If you spend your time to derive the equations, okay, it consumes a lot of time and you will run out of the time and you will be in trouble. You will be in grave danger, remember. So these are important equations. So this is what initial energy stored in this capacitor. And what happens when charge flows from this capacitor to this capacitor? There will be energy dissipation. Initially this is the only capacitor which is having energy, and I can calculate that. Finally what I have to do? I have to calculate total final energy possessed by this capacitor plus this capacitor, isn't it? So final energy possessed by these two capacitors and initial energy possessed by this single capacitor, you need to calculate, and whatever difference you get, that difference amount of energy is what? That is the energy dissipated. But you have to calculate what percentage of energy dissipated in this case. So let us see what we can do. Let me first calculate what that initial energy stored in this capacitor 2 microfarad. It can be expressed as Ui is equal to half C1. C1 is how much? 2 microfarad, 10 power minus 6 micro into V1 square. What is the potential across this capacitor? V initially, when there is a contact between 1 and this point. Okay, when the switch is connected with 1. Okay, so it's V. Potential across this capacitor is V. So you can take it as V square. You can take it as V square. So I can simplify this as V square into 10 power minus 6. These two and this 2 gets cancelled. So this is what? Initial energy. Let us take it as equation number 1. Now I said there is a flow of charge from this capacitor to this capacitor. Obviously that occurs, isn't it? So let us find out the common potential. I told you about common potential. There will be a flow of charge from this capacitor to this capacitor as long as there is a potential difference. If there is no any potential difference, if both the capacitors attains the same potential, then there won't be any flow of charge, and that potential, same potential possessed by these two capacitors is called as common potential, and this is the expression for common potential. Let me find out common potential. I am finding common potential because I wanted to find out total final energy. Final energy can be calculated with this equation, half into C1 plus C2 into Vc square. It is also it is also something like half Cv square only. In place of here you are writing what effective capacitance. These two are like parallel combination. These two are having parallel combination. They are parallelly grouped capacitors. So you will have C1 plus C2, and this is what the common potential possessed by these two capacitors, or potential across these two capacitors, Vc square, isn't it? So let me find out this Vc first, okay, because I wanted to find out final energy. I have already got initial energy. If I can manage to calculate final energy, difference between those two divided by initial energy gives me the fractional change in energy, and if you multiply with that, with that equation with 100, you will get percentage of energy dissipated, energy dissipation. Okay, so let me find out what is common potential here. C1 V1. See here, C1 V1 is what? Q. C2 V2 is what? Charge present on this capacitor initially. Is there any charge initially on this capacitor? There is no any charge. So in place of this one you can replace with 0, and in place of this C1 V1 you can replace with Q. And what that Q is, or directly I will write C1 V1. C1 is known to us. What is C1? 2 micro 10 power minus 6 into V1. V1 is what? Potential across this one. How much is that? V divided by C1 plus C2. C1 is 2 microfarad, C2 is 8 microfarad. So 2 plus 8 into 10 power minus 6. 10 power minus 6, 10 power minus 6 gets cancelled. Okay, and here you will have 10, 2 by 10, you will have finally V by 5. So children, what is the common potential attained finally by these two capacitors? It's V by 5. Okay, now let us find out the final energy possessed by this system. How much is that? UF is equal to half into C1 plus C2. 2 plus, I'm writing directly, 2 plus 8 into 10 power minus 6 micron was taken out. Okay, and Vc square, common potential square. Common potential is V by 5. So you will have V square by 25. And if you reduce this one, 2 plus 8 is 10, 10 by 2, it's 5, 5 5 are 25. And finally, what you are left with, UF is equal to V square by 5 into 10 power minus 6. So this is your final energy. Now, what is delta U? Or what you are trying to find out here? Percentage of stored energy dissipated. Okay, how much percentage of energy is dissipated? That's what you wanted to find out, right? So I will write it like this. Percentage of energy dissipated is equal to change in energy by initial energy into 100, isn't it? That is equal to change in energy, what is what? Ui minus Uf divided by initial energy Ui into 100. Ui is what? Just now we have derived V square into 10 power minus 6. In place of Uf also you are having 10 power minus 6. I will write it outside, minus Uf V square by 5 into 10 power minus 6 divided by Ui. What is Ui? V square into 10 power minus 6. 10 power minus 6, 10 power minus 6 gets cancelled. Here 100 is there. I will write it here. So if you take out V square common, V square gets cancelled, and finally what you are left with? 1 minus 1 by 5. 1 minus 1 by 5 is what? 4 by 5 into 100. So finally what you will get? 80%. So how much energy is dissipated here? 80%. I hope you understood how important this data is, and this question is given in previous NEET examination. Okay, it's quite simple. You have to calculate initial energy, you have to calculate final energy, and he is asking for energy dissipation, how much percentage of energy is dissipated. So just to take the difference, divide with the initial energy and multiply with 100, you will get the answer. Okay, so let us try one more problem. Now let us discuss about this problem. What is this? A parallel plate air capacitor has capacity C. Distance of separation between the plates is D, and potential difference V is applied between the plates. Then force of attraction between the plates is. See, I have given the options also. There is a reason for giving these options. Okay. You know, sometimes in objective examinations, by looking at the options, we will be able to come to a conclusion. Because all of you know the expression for force of attraction between the plates of a capacitor. What is that expression? That force expression can be written as F is equal to half epsilon naught E square A. Now tell me, is it there anywhere in these four equations? All that you need to do is you have to convert this equation into one of these forms. What do you see? Finally, the force of attraction between the plates is expressed in terms of C, V and D. Okay. So by looking at the equation, by looking at these options, we will get an idea how this equation has to be modified, because it can be modified into different forms. You can express the same equation in terms of sigma also. You can express the same equation in terms of Q, charge stored on the capacitor. Okay. And finally, you have to modify this equation such that it matches with one of these options. Children, competitive examination, sometimes you have to follow certain logics. Okay. So it's not like you have the data and simply you know the answer. That's not possible. Okay. So according to the situation, you need to shape your act. Okay. Now let us see how this can be modified. Half epsilon naught. This E can be written as sigma by epsilon naught, isn't it? The electric field intensity between the plates can be expressed as sigma by epsilon naught. E square is sigma square by epsilon naught square into A. Here epsilon gets cancelled and you are left with a sigma square by epsilon naught into A. Now this sigma can be replaced with what? Sigma is what? Surface charge density, and surface charge density is expressed as charge per unit area. So Q by A. So I am going to replace sigma with Q by A. So half into Q square by a square epsilon naught is present here and here a is there. A gets cancelled and finally what you are left with half into q square by a epsilon naught. This is what our final equation is, but it is not matching with any of these options. So let us modify this one further. F is equal to half into, I am going to replace this q with Cv. Q is equal to what? Cv. So c square v square, q square is what? C square v square by, and you know, a epsilon naught. A epsilon naught can be replaced with a CD because C is equal to what? Capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor is epsilon naught A by D, isn't it? So epsilon naught A is C into D. So here CC gets cancelled and finally what you are left with? C V square 2D. So this is what the force of attraction between the plates of capacitor. And which option is that? The fourth one, CV square by 2D. This is also one of the previous NEET examination question. Children, don't think that, you know, questions will be tough. They are not tough. Okay, whatever data has been given to you, whatever concepts were discussed with you in the class, whatever it was taught to you in the last few days, all those points are important. And if you are having knowledge of, you know, how to deal with those concepts, how to use those equations, okay, how to deal with various situations described in the numerical problems, you will be able to solve any question very easily. Okay, so that's it. Thank you, and I'll come up with a few other new concepts in the next session. Probably we will be starting one more new chapter. Okay, children, thank you.